Thanks so much for being with us here on Atlanta News First Plus. I'm Joy Lim-Nakrid. I want to let you know that we are watching live. Here is a look as Mayor Andre Dickens is approaching the Old Atlanta Civic Center, preparing to give a press conference really at any moment now. And I want to let you know this is a pre-scheduled press conference.
Everybody out here.
Where, you know, the mayor
out here today
is talking about summer
good morning,
safety.
Everybody.
Let's go ahead and listen in.
Good morning, and thank you all for joining us this morning here, where the Atlanta Weather Department is really trying to be a part of our beautiful day here. Just like the last few years, as we've entered the summer season, we wanted to join together the Atlanta Police Department under the leadership of Darren Shearbaum and the Atlanta Fire Rescue Department under the leadership of Rod Smith, and all of the departments that help be about the public safety of the city of Atlanta. Our E911 director, Desiree Arnold, is here. We also have our Chief of Corrections, Chief Dancy is here, as well as senior members of my administration that are all trying to provide the safety that we deserve in the city of Atlanta. And this update is to provide guidance and update you on how we will collectively keep our communities safe over the next few summer months. Chief Shearbaum will speak to what we have dubbed Operation Heatwave, a multi-agency operation that targets offenders in areas in our city most prone to violence. We saw a lot of success with this operation last year, with numerous drug and gun seizures and gang charges against violent repeat offenders last year. In 2023, we saw a huge drop in violent crime, homicides, and rapes. And we actually saw the fourth highest drop in violence crimes across the nation that occurred right here in the city of Atlanta. So we are very proud of the fact that we had a successful year last year and a successful summer as we did the Operation Heatwave. Our collective efforts are getting the results that we were looking for, which is why we are here today together and adding more tools and resources to double down on our efforts. But let me begin by talking a little bit about the events of yesterday. Again, my heart goes out and prayers go out to the family of the victim that lost his life yesterday, as well as those victims that were on that frightful journey on the bus, leaving Atlanta, going throughout multiple jurisdictions. I know that was a frightening experience to those individuals, and my heart goes out to them, and my prayers are for them to get some sense of calm in their life after those events have occurred. And also those individuals that were in the Peachtree Center food court, the hub area, that experienced that unprecedented event of gun violence in our city. Thankfully, all of those individuals are alive, and we've been keeping track on them and talking to them. So, but I am both sad and I am angry that individuals that were going about their daily lives, those that were just taking a bus ride home, or those that were there for a lunch or late lunch or having a gathering, they really should not have to suffer that kind of trauma. These are the types of senseless acts of violence that we are trying to prevent here. They hurt families, they hurt businesses, and they hurt our beloved communities. Yesterday's tragic events reflected a breakdown in the criminal justice system and our social structures on multiple levels. I want to address those briefly today and share some of those things that we've been doing to help stop violent crime. First, both incidents involved convicted felons that happened to have a gun in their possession at the time of the crimes that they were committing. They have no business having guns if they were convicted felons. And most of the violent criminals involved in yesterday's shootings had multiple arrest cycles with the city of Atlanta and other jurisdictions. They've had lengthy records, 11 arrests and 19 arrests for the other. But they were out on the streets of the city of Atlanta, and at the time of their crimes were in possession of a gun. The suspect from the Peachtree Street attack, again, had 11 cycles of arrests, and the one from the bus incident had 19. We need our courts to be accountable and to make sure that individuals like these should receive the sentencing that they deserve, that reflects the harm and the nature of the violence that they can cause in our communities. The city of Atlanta is working with the courts to be able to continue our Court Watch program and also to make sure that we hold violent criminals accountable. Second, there are too many guns on our streets, plain and simple. Just too many guns in the hands of people. Now, let me be clear. I'm not here to argue about Second Amendment rights. I'm here to talk about too many guns in the hands of individuals that are not registered to carry them. I'm talking about guns ending up in the hands of violent criminals, and many of those guns are ended up in incidents as we saw yesterday. The good news is that there are some things that can be done in the city to make a big difference. Across the metro area region, we can be more vigilant about leaving guns in cars unattended. This will help reduce the number of car break-ins, vehicle thefts, and the flow of guns to the streets. In 2023 alone, we had 2,500 guns seized that were reported stolen, I should say, to APD. And more than 1,800 of those were stolen from vehicles. So 2,500 guns were stolen, 1,800 of them were stolen from vehicles. By being responsible about how you leave guns in your car, you can significantly reduce those numbers. Finally, there is a correlation between gun violence and the underlying social issues which impact many people in our city, from mental illness to domestic violence, and the links between gang activity and chronic poverty, school truancy, and a lack of true social and economic mobility. In every one of these, my administration is working to make a difference. We are working and strategically working to make Atlanta one safe city. In 2023, we brought on a new director to the city's resources. Our City of Atlanta's Mayor's Office of Violence Reduction, Marcus Walker, is here, and he's hit the ground running for an integrated, community-based focus on combating violence. He and his team members are doing an outstanding job at getting out in the community, being violence interrupters and community healers. I asked him to coordinate a comprehensive effort to reduce violence, especially with guns. This office works with multiple government agencies as well as nonprofit agencies to build a holistic violence prevention and intervention strategy on domestic violence, gang violence, illegal gun possession, and a host of issues that threaten the safety and security of our community. And in Atlanta, we believe now that every year is the year of the youth. We have our Commissioner of Parks and Recreation here, Commissioner Cutler, and all of our youth-related activities are here to make sure that our young people are having a great summer with our Camp Best Friends. That's had a huge turnout this year already, higher than previous years, to have safe spaces across our city at Promise Center, our Police Athletic League. We also have our Summer Youth Employment Program. Last year, we hired 5,000 youth and paid them an average of $17 an hour. Already signed up this year is 6,000 youth. So we're trying to make sure that this is the best place in the nation to raise a child, which is also helping to prevent crime. And finally, we're making sure that our law enforcement officers have the tools and the resources that they need and the training to do their jobs properly and to keep everyone safe and to keep themselves safe. Despite my administration's holistic approach to addressing some of the root causes of crime, the reality is that there are still people who are going to make the wrong choice and to do the wrong thing. When that happens, the women and men of the Atlanta Police Department and other law enforcement agencies across the metro area are who we can count on to serve and to protect. That's why we're making sure that the Atlanta Police Department, the Atlanta Fire Rescue Department, and all of our emergency responders have the tools and training to do their jobs, both properly and to have safety. The Atlanta Public Safety Training Center is that resource, and it will provide the most progressive training curriculum in the nation, which includes learning and practicing de-escalation skills, our mental health training, anti-bias training, and building relationships with citizens to continue strengthening community trust. Additionally, as you can see, we've upgraded a few things around here, and we will touch on them shortly. But we also have programmatic updates and efforts, including non-policing activities to ensure residents and businesses enjoy a safe summer. In my State of the City address, I announced that we would have the launch of the CARE Unit, the Community Assistance Responder Unit. Today, I'm pleased to announce the first 6 units will be on the Atlanta streets this weekend. And you can see those vehicles and individuals that are trained to go out there and be a part of that CARE unit behind me here. You'll see 2 of those units. These are unarmed responders, and they are dedicated to promptly addressing non-emergency service calls like directing traffic and non-injury accidents. Not every incident requires a sworn police officer, and this unit will allow more time for APD to keep violent criminals, illegal guns, and drugs off of our streets. But when those moments do come, I want the city of Atlanta to know and to be rest assured that we will work day and we'll work night to ensure our community is safe. I want to thank APD Chief Darren Shearbaum and the women and men of the Atlanta Police Department, our E911 leaders, Atlanta Fire Rescue, Atlanta DOT, the Georgia State Patrol, the GBI, the FBI, DeKalb County, Gwinnett County, and everyone who helped yesterday with the incidents that helped to bring that incident to a close from that bus incident. So thank you all for that coordinated effort that we worked together. Again, my thoughts and prayers are with the victims and the families from yesterday. And so now I'll turn it over to Chief Shearbaum, and he can give you the updates on today's proceedings around our summer safety. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Right there.
Morning, everyone. Appreciate you all joining us today. And I just want to reiterate something the mayor just said. I am so proud of the men and women of the Atlanta Police Department, both our sworn and our civilian staff. Yesterday, twice, your city needed you in the most critical times. And yesterday, you did not let this city down. In the most dangerous situations that was unfolding in our downtown space, and an unprecedented hostage situation on a bus that spanned multiple jurisdictions, I hope everyone saw what I saw. Your bravery, your dedication, and your commitment. We are so fortunate to have you as part of the Atlanta Police Department, and yesterday again proved your commitment to this city. And I just want to thank you, and Mayor, thank you for your leadership yesterday. I think you were present at the command post the entire time as those incidents played out, and your investment that you've made in salary and equipment and training, you saw firsthand why that matters, and training does matter. So it's the summertime. We all love Atlanta in the summer, and that's why we're gathered here today, because with sun and fun, sometimes people say, hey, it's the summer uptick in crime. And people may want to accept that, but we don't accept that in Atlanta. We're going to continue to have fun right here, and we're going to play out a smart plan as we did last year, how we're going to keep Atlanta safe as we enjoy the city. The mayor mentioned we're seeing a second year of marked reduction around violence crime. Shootings continue to be down, robberies continue to be down, crimes against persons continue down. We want to make sure we keep that trend throughout the summer with a smart plan right here in the city. You're going to see that in multiple ways. First of all, continue to visit our parks. We love our parks right here in the city of Atlanta. When you're out there, you're going to see a few things. You're going to see our horses. They're going to be joining you in those spaces, and you're going to see our bicycle officers. So throughout the summer, you will see our path force out on the belt line. You will see our horses all in space as we work to keep that area a fun place to be. But it's just not on the ground. Look up, you'll see our air unit. We've invested in 2 brand new helicopters. Thanks to our mayor's leadership, you will see those helicopters up, making sure that we're providing good information as we deploy our resources. But if we happen to have a lost child through the summer, if we happen to have a fleeing felon, our air unit will be up making sure we find those individuals, even if it's an at-risk adult who may have wandered from home. And for the first time, we are trading the black, red, and blue of our patrol cars for the nice, crisp, green and black of our CARES unit. This is also a new initiative of our mayor to make sure we're putting resources in the right areas. And I'm so proud of our CARES officers. They are the first ever in our department's history to go out to be able to be on patrol in areas to respond to blocked roadways, sidewalk obstructions. If we have a lost child, they will help to be the eyes of that lost child response. And they are going to be the hero units of our city streets as we see on our state highways. They are just now completing an aggressive number of weeks of training to prepare them for this assignment. So thank you to the Academy staff for adjusting, but this will not be the first 6. We're going to continue to add to this unit so you see them throughout the city. Not only will you see uniform presence in our city, you're going to see a lot of work going on behind the scenes. At all of our PAL centers, we will be at work providing meaningful ways to have a fun summer for our young people. And we still have, I believe, Chief Tyus, 20 slots available in our summer PAL camps. So if you are not in competition with you, Commissioner, for your camps, we have room for everybody. So please give us your referrals. We'd love to have 20 more young people join us. Our At Promise centers will continue to make referrals there to make sure that is a smart resource, and the Mayor's Midnight Basketball will continue to be a cornerstone of what we do. And criminals do not get a pass in the summertime in Atlanta, Georgia. We will make sure that we're working very hard to hold individuals accountable that may want to take advantage of the longer days to cause mayhem here in the city. If you're thinking about street racing in Atlanta, Georgia, think again. You're going to go to jail. Whether you are behind the wheel or you took to a keyboard to promote an event right here in the city. We know Atlanta's a cool place to be. We know this is a fun city, but it is no place for street racing. Last week, we put 3 organizers in jail. Ladies and gentlemen, they weren't behind the wheel of a street racer. They just organized the event. They're in jail, and we have an arrest warrant issued for another. We're going to use all the tools that are available to us, from air units to warrants, with our partnerships to make sure street racing does not happen in our city. We'll continue to use all of our technology to fight that. And gun violence does not get a pass in Atlanta, Georgia either, as our mayor will tell you. Our heat wave initiatives will be at play. We'll be joined by the FBI, the ATF, the Georgia State Patrol, and the Sheriff's Department, and a plethora of state and regional agencies going to places that we know felons are possessing guns, where drug dealing is occurring, and we're going to shut it down to make sure we're contributing to our safe summer. We're going to continue to fight the reduction continue to promote the reduction of auto thefts. You have here clubs that we are passing out at all of our precincts. Reach out to us on social media to get your own club. Do your part to help reduce crime. And if you see something, say something. Call 911, use Crime Stoppers, use 311 to make sure that you are part of the eyes and ears of the city. And register your cameras. We continue to have thousands upon thousands of cameras across the city that are helping us to be an effective, trusted police department. Do your part for a safe summer. Thank you for being part of our city and all of the safety infrastructure. And it is my privilege to turn over to a strong partner in safety of Atlanta, our Fire Chief, Chief Smith.
Thank you, Chief. Good morning. It's my pleasure to be here today to share with you the plans for Atlanta Fire Rescue as it relates to our Safe Summer Plan. Thank you to our mayor for always being a supporter of the Atlanta Fire Rescue, and our police chief for being a strong partner in public safety for the city of Atlanta. Atlanta Fire Rescue stands to promote our Safe Spots program. That Safe Spot program represents for our citizens a safe place off the streets. Many times when violent acts occur, domestic violence specifically, or a child abandonment occurs, people look for some place to go, a place of refuge. I'm here to share with you that all Atlanta fire stations are available 24/7 for the citizens of Atlanta to escape trouble and seek medical assistance, and we can provide you protection and notify APD if necessary to move forward in dealing with any volatile or abusive situations. In addition to that, you will see early summer the launch of our rapid response units. We refer to them as QUICs, which are quick intervention crews. They are trained to the advanced EMT level. They will be in small trucks, crew-size pickup trucks that are able to navigate the streets of Atlanta and the traffic. They will be strategically placed around the city to pick up some of the surges of EMS calls, as well as being an integral part of special events that will be going on around the city. In addition to that, you will see our bicycle medic teams out and about in the city parks this summer, supporting the events that go on and providing support to the city. And as always, Atlanta Fire Rescue stands prepared to respond and meet the needs of the city of Atlanta. And with that, I will turn it back over to our mayor.
Yeah, thank you. So as you have heard from before an incident ever occurs, our Safe Summer Plan includes parks and recreation, people enjoying themselves. It includes us being out in the community. We have at Promise Centers, we have Police Athletic League, we have Camp Best Friends, midnight basketball, we have summer employment opportunities, things that are non-policing activities. We have cameras as a deterrent, we have license plate readers, we have our care unit. So all of these are things that we're doing that are trying to make sure that everyone is safe. And then if there's a medical incident, we also have our fire rescue department that is well equipped to be able to handle medical emergencies or an incident of domestic violence or a missing, a lost child or a lost senior that may be, we've had Maddie's calls where seniors have had Alzheimer's or dementia and they're looking for a place to go. So our fire rescue department and police department are there to help. And then we also have the men and women of the Atlanta Police Department. Should an incident occur, they are out and about and able to provide safety to the residents and the businesses of the city of Atlanta. And finally, if an incident was to occur, and we do have victims in the city of Atlanta, we have Atlanta Victims Assistance that are here. Those are the individuals in the purple shirts that you see. We tripled our investment in them this year going into our budget, and we want to continue to work with them as there are individuals that need our help post an incident occurring, to be able to help those family members, to be able to help them with some of their basic needs. So all of this is about our safe summer, but really a lot of it goes beyond summer and it goes into our throughout our year. And our Mayor's Office of Violence Reduction is there working with violence interrupters, working with people that are helping to prevent gang activity and to stop retaliation if an incident were to occur. So that is a combined effort. I'm excited that everyone gets to see the care unit, get to see all of our units out here, and to see so many public servants that have dedicated their lives to community safety. And so with that, I will address anyone with any questions that you may have about summer safety first, and then we'll go to the incidents of yesterday.
So we'll start on with Bobeth and work our way down. Bobeth?
The care unit, can you go into more details on what they will be responding to? I know you said non-emergency, but let's say there's someone with a mental crisis. Is that the route now?
Yeah, I'll have Chief, we want to respond on the technical of it. So this was an issue, this was something that we came up with, the care unit, to be able to respond to non-emergency, non-violent crime issues like traffic incidents, like a car accident, like a missing persons alert, and to also just keep the peace out in the public, to be very readily accessible so that the sworn officers can deal with gangs, illegal guns, and drugs. But Chief, do you want to give some of the specifics about? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. As the mayor said, this team will be responding to traffic obstructions, sidewalk obstructions. When we have incidents where we need to redirect traffic, they will be there. Certain accidents on private property, that frees the officers up to stay in the neighborhoods, to stay on patrol. We have an expanded block of instruction in our basic mandate training for officers about mental health. We train aggressively to know, what does a mental health emergency look like? How will it present itself to our officers, and how do we navigate that? And then the third portion of that training is what local resources are available beyond jail to be able to help that citizen that is in need. Last year, we responded to over 7,000 calls of a person in a mental health emergency as a police department. Shouldn't have responded to any. We responded to 7,000. Less than 1% required an arrest, and less than 1% required any force to be able to safely bring that to a resolution. We will be announcing in the next budget year an expansion of our co-responders model, where we will be bringing more mental health professionals onto the force to be able to respond to mental health calls with us, and you'll see more about that very, very soon.
This is for the chief as well, and Mayor Peachtree at the moment. As for the shooting yesterday.
We'll answer those questions after this.
After this?
Yeah.
Regarding summer safety or now? We have a summer safety question.
No, but the mayor said that we'll do that first.
We'll do that after.
Okay.
Valencia, summer safety only.
Anyone got anything on summer safety?
I do. So I know you said the numbers are down from last year and the year before, but a lot of people might not feel safe. Those people who don't feel safe despite the numbers, your message to them.
Yeah, absolutely. I thank you for that question. We know that perception becomes reality to some people, and we know that the data is one thing, and we were down 21% in homicides last year, 50% down in rapes. We did see more people, change their attitude about going out to dinner, going to the parks. I remember in 2021 when I was running for mayor, people were saying, I'm afraid to go to the parks. I'm afraid to go to Lenox Mall. I'm afraid to go out to dinner. And now you see people are out and about. So I think some of the perception has changed about being out, but rest assured, if you're a victim of a crime or a crime has occurred in your neighborhood, crime is up 100% to you. For that moment, and that is a part of our messaging, is to show that, hey, we have a lot of resources that we're putting at play to go out there and to make sure you see our presence and feel safe. Everything from 911 calls. These operators, we have more and more operators. We've given them the resources and tools, and we have more resources and tools coming. So now your phone is being answered more promptly and more often, and they're prepared, just like throughout the events over the past few weeks. So I say that I hope that people continue to put their trust in us as we see the numbers go down. But, of course, a major national incident occurs, and it makes people, some people get concerned all over again. But I hope that the efforts with the summer safety and the heat wave and all that, people will believe that they're in a safer city.
Chief, can you talk about, recently you mentioned in terms of the trends of crime, that when it comes to shootings, that you've seen a change. They're not so much caused from or where the data is from escalated disputes, which we've seen maybe more historically. Recently it's been domestic. Is that still the? I think you gave that presentation maybe like a month ago. Is that still the case? Can you just give us a sense of like what the data shows about where violent crime is right now?
Certainly, when the mayor took office, we had a pronounced challenge around gang and drug-driven gun violence in our city. We continue to attack that. We're going to attack it when it is down. But what we started seeing this year is a change around domestic violence. And we've seen a sharp increase in the number of homicides related to domestic violence. These are individuals in a romantic relationship or a prior romantic relationship, or they may be blood relations that have been in gun violence and stabbing incidents. We're also seeing that in our shootings. And that's why when the mayor has in the very front row of this event our victims witness initiatives and our violence reduction office, that's what we're about. Because we cannot be in every living room and kitchen and backyard. We wouldn't want to live in a society where that's where the police are. But we can develop programs through the two organizations I just mentioned to make sure we equip individuals to navigate conflict. Before it was conflict over a parking space and a sandwich, and now we're seeing conflict that was inside homes that is driving a pronounced trend that we didn't see last year. And it is one that we appreciate the assistance of our partners and the mayor's investment in victim witness assistance. That will help us reduce those, we believe, reduce those incidents.
Chief, I wanted to address that as well. The chief is absolutely correct. His data has shown that domestic violence is a crime that's on the rise. It's a higher percentage than it's been in previous years. So that's romantic relationships, that's roommates, that's individuals that are family. We've seen uncle and nephew gun violence between one another, brother on brother. And so what we're going to do, you're going to hear next week. We've been working on a plan with the Mayor's Office of Violence Reduction and our partners across the city, nonprofit agencies that are committed to bringing down domestic violence. You're going to see us roll out a robust plan related to how to communicate about, domestic violence, letting folks know, hey, you may be in a volatile relationship that could end up affecting you and maybe even taking your life. Here are the steps that you can take. So we're going to come out publicly with that next week. We were going to do it this week. The events of this week has made us want to make sure that we give that its ample just due. So next week you will hear us roll out our domestic violence plan. It's going to include things that everybody can do, from the media to celebrities to churches to every institution, things that you can do to help bring about change in this rise in domestic violence.
We've got Reed, and then we'll have Bo Beth, and then we'll switch the conversation.
I have a couple quick questions. But when you were talking about domestic violence, what are those numbers? What is the percentage of homicides?
I don't have it on me. Do you have it?
We can provide them to you. So they're very pronounced in our homicide numbers. We can give you the percentage.
And they're online right now. You can go to our stats.
And then the other thing I was going to ask about, and I apologize if I missed this, is the CARES unit already, have they already started? And how many people are in the unit? And how many calls have they responded to?
Chief, why don't you, you can give it.
I
I don't want to mess it up. I know, but I ain't the police chief.
Well, the police chief can still mess it up. There's 12 in the unit. The first 6 are leaving the classroom training and moving into the field training, so you leave them out on the streets doing their work there. We have another group that's being hired and put in training very shortly. So that's about 18 weeks of training. Is that right, Captain? 18 weeks of training, then they go to field training. They are very well equipped when they go out to the scene to be able to recognize an emergency, assist our citizens in a plethora of critical incidents, provide first aid care, and to be the eyes and the ears of the department. So when you see them on the street, they're in field training, they are responding to actual calls, and they're assisting the citizens.
Bo Beth, last question.
You guys glossed over the helicopters. That has to be a huge deal, and I'm sure it took some time to get 2 of them. Talk about that effort and why it's important to have in your arsenal.
Absolutely. We're a first-class city that deserves to be protected by first-class first responders. And to be able to have an air unit, and you all have covered stories. I'm looking around to the news stations, I think of all the stories you've covered. You would expect on critical incidents to see an air unit up, providing information back to the command center, giving us eyes and ears of where the crowd may be or where the perpetrator or the lost child may be. So for the mayor to replace 1970 era helicopters with brand new ones is an investment. They can stay up longer, they fly more efficiently, and they're capable to be deployed like incidents that we saw yesterday with the bus. It helps us to be effective, to mitigate an emergency very quickly, and to be able to deploy these resources from protecting the Peachtree Road Race to the Pride Parade. The helicopters are up. A lost child in your neighborhood, the helicopters are up. Or a hijacked bus with 17 hostages on board, the air unit's up.
All right, we will now change the conversation. We'll start on this end with the questions related
Why don't you give the update, Chief?
Yes, sir. From what, well, no relationship that we can find, and the youngest of the individual was in a very brief physical confrontation with the shooter, and then he was shot, and then the other two females were shot very shortly thereafter that. And all are recovering, all are stable, all are expected to make a full recovery.
You said there was no relationship between the shooter
No, sir.
and any of the victims?
We don't believe there was any at all.
Well, the two seniors are related.
Oh, I'm sorry, with the shooter. Yes, they are. My apologies.
Not related to the shooter, but related
Yeah.
to each other.
Right.
How
So
are the two seniors related to each other?
we'll get that relationship with sisters.
Sisters, yeah,
Okay,
sisters.
sisters. Thank you, Chief Tice.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mr. Greer, the man who is alleged to have gotten on the bus, do you believe he had a gun when he got on the bus, or did he get the gun from someone else? And do you believe he was experiencing some sort of mental health incident?
The investigation is still just hours old, sir, but we do believe at this time that he did not enter the bus with a handgun. We believe that there was an altercation on the bus and that the hijacker disarmed a citizen and then used that weapon to injure a passenger and then used that weapon to force the driver to do what we saw him do. And we do believe, and we're not medical professionals, but we do have experience, and we do believe there was likely a mental health emergency playing out at the same time that we had a criminal act occurring in the region.
Can you talk a little bit about the collaboration between the different units, the different departments there, and how that aided in yesterday's bus situation?
Yes, sir. Information is key for us to be able to mitigate any emergency. We had a passenger on the bus that called 911 and kept the line open. We do know that the hijacker was trying to prevent just that, was actually giving instructions not to use phones. And someone called 911, kept the line open. Our director of 911 is here today. She's right over here in the corner in those nice sunglasses. She stayed on the line and listened to what was occurring on the bus. And through our collaboration with the Georgia State Patrol, Gwinnett County, and DeKalb County, that information was provided so a plan could be crafted. And as that information was gotten from that 911 call, we continue to provide that to our partners. And I just want to speak about the collaboration that exists. Very few people do the job of law enforcement. Very few people. And so when we have a critical incident, everyone comes together. Doesn't matter what the color of the uniform was yesterday. Doesn't matter the design of the patch or the badge. You saw the regional law enforcement working. And that was because a relationship existed long before the crisis yesterday. We are always in a state to be ready to respond to whatever the emergency may be. So 911 was the linchpin. They provided information that by radio and by phone we were passing along to the other agencies, and therefore the officers that were at the most acute moment next to the bus were able to craft a strategy to bring that incident to an end.
Sorry, we spoke to, we believe, the individual that got on the bus later at the court scene. Do you guys know what he might have been doing in that area, or how he ended up on that bus?
No, ma'am, we don't know that. That may become part of the information. It's very normal to be walking in any city. It's very normal to board transportation. And so our concern is, was he receiving the assistance he needed? Our concern is, why did he do what he did? Why did he disarm an individual and do what he did? And we're going to hold him accountable for that. And so we don't know why he was in the area. But there was no connection to the first incident. It's still being circulated that there was a relationship between the two shooters. That is inaccurate. We do not believe at this time that there's any relationship between the two.
Mayor, you mentioned that I think one of the suspects yesterday had 11 arrests, one had 19 arrests. You mentioned your emphasis for repeat offenders and the gaps in the judicial system. Specifically, where do you think those gaps are? And have you talked with any of the leaders? Have you talked with the DA? Have you talked with judges about how to approach this and how to fix this?
Yeah, thanks for that question. No, I haven't talked to them this morning yet, but that is a part of today and tomorrow to kind of talk through. Let's look at both of these individuals. One had 11 arrests and another had 19 arrests, and they were felons. Now, what happens next? What happens after their arrest? These men and women of the Atlanta Police Department and other jurisdictions arrest these people over and over again. You can rest assured that if he's been arrested 11 times, he might have committed more than 11 crimes, right? And 19 times, he might have gotten away with a few. And so there's victims on the other side of that. And what we want to have is for a conversation about what is the proper way to sentence someone that has, committed that many crimes, some of them with guns, some of them that have hurt people or taken property. And so to go through, let's unwind this and look back at these individuals' history with law enforcement. The other things is, I think mental health is at play. The individual did comment very boldly, I have bipolar, I am bipolar, so y'all don't mess with me, in so many words when he was on the bus. So you're talking about an individual who knows that he has a mental health challenge, and so that enters the conversation. How do we as a society deal with individuals that have mental challenges? So the city has resources to do certain things that you see here today. The county is responsible for health, mental health, and well-being of individuals, and health and human services. All those things belong to the county. And so we want to make sure that the county is and the state are doing the things that they need to do related to mental health, physical health, and people's ability to be properly sentenced at their courts. Remember, felony offenses go to the county court, which is they face state charges. So all that is up for us to discuss, because we don't want these type of things to happen ever again.
Yes, we spoke with the man who stole the bus at the scene. A couple questions. Do you know if he had any type of connection to the shooter at the food court, because he was acting very erratically just right there at the scene?
Chief, you want to answer that?
Yes, no connection. We've thoroughly reviewed that. Our partners at the FBI has assisted us in that review. We see zero connection between the two, either an acquaintance or a relationship, family relationship.
And Mayor, thank you. And Mayor, you were talking about mental health earlier. Can you talk a little bit about whether or not possibly the shooting, right, at the food court could have in any way triggered the man who stole the bus?
Yeah, I'm no mental health professional. I'm no clinician. But the individual that you guys are telling me that y'all have had interaction with this individual, and I'd like to know what he said to you all, because that could go into our investigation to understand his mentality at the time that he took over that bus. And that can lead us back to, was he having a mental episode for that brief moment, triggered by police sirens, triggered by activity that he's hearing, or was he already that day having a mental episode that he was just in that area? So all of that will play into our investigation. We are interviewing each one of those individuals, and when I say we, it's the police department, but the police department is interviewing every single individual, having great conversations with the victims, the individuals that were shot, to kind of figure out what happened at the food court, what did they see occur beforehand. But we don't see any relationship between the shooter at the Peachtree Center food court and the first person that he shot. It looks like it was just a mild brush up against each other, and it led to him into a scuffle that was quick, and he used a gun and shot multiple people. I think that also demonstrates that he had mental challenges as well.
My final question real quickly is for the Chief. Chief, can you talk a little bit about the people who basically, just as the Mayor said, were basically innocent bystanders? We got reports that some of the workers at the food court actually shielded the people from the bullets and what have you. Can you talk a little bit about that, and also about what people can do to protect themselves if they find themselves in the middle of a mass shooting? Do we introduce metal detectors now at these common areas in the city? Like, what happens next?
We were watching the video at the command post yesterday, and we saw different responses. There was an active gunman in a public place, and some citizens quickly went through what I believe, and this department offers regularly training to citizens of what to do during an active shooter situation. And some of those instructors are in the crowd today, and we will continue to offer that. We continue to equip our faith-based community, our civic community with these tools, so you know what to do. You could be anywhere in the globe and need that training. Let's be very clear. And yesterday we saw some individuals doing that, quickly shuttering businesses, sheltering patrons in their establishments, quickly moving to places of shelter, getting out of the area. We also saw some people froze, didn't move, and could have easily have been victim number 4. And we encourage everyone, be smart. This is a great city to live in. This is a great country to live in. Many places around the world to travel to. You be smart in those areas. We will continue to offer the training of what to do in an active shooter situation. You run and flee, you shelter in place in a safe place, or you engage the shooter if one must at the very last moment. And so for kudos to the establishments we saw act properly, that clearly had trained their employees to do so. Metal detectors, we'll leave that to each location to do. I think just training properly, enjoying the city, making sure judges hold individuals accountable. Those are things that we need to do. I'll tell you what, the mayor's right. The camera system. You know, we talk about registered and integrated cameras. Those were key yesterday. Those were key. You know, we had a shelter in place for a very short period of time because we thought for a moment we had 2 shooters. The cameras helped us to know we didn't. And people could go about their normal days and help us quickly to know we had the right individual. Continue to integrate your cameras. Continue to register them. You are an important portion of safety in the city, so please continue to do that.
Bo Beth, then Grace, and that'll be the last question.
You guys mentioned convicted felons getting time to check that goes to the sentence record. How many of those people are committing these crimes that you talk about what they're happening in the city? Are most of them being committed by reoffenders?
So the Violent Repeat Offender Commission will actually meet today. It meets regularly at Public Safety Headquarters. It's judges, prosecutors, community leaders, law enforcement. And why we're starting to see a reduction, we've seen a 2-year reduction in the number of repeat offenders. It's still way too high. Individuals that are classified as a recidivist, that means you've been convicted 3 times or more of a felony. Ladies and gentlemen, that is an extremely high bar. But every week I get a report, Chief Tyus gets the report that shows us how many repeat offenders we arrested that week alone. Just that week. And your officers, they're standing here every day, share that same space where individuals that should not be on the street, certainly should not be possessing a gun, we continue to arrest for armed robbery, for breaking into cars and stealing in cars. And so while with the Repeat Offender Commission is starting to see a reduction, there's way too many people on the streets. They either need assistance through court-mandated programming around drug addiction and mental health, or they need to be out of society circulation. And judges have to be part of this conversation. I applaud the judges who are part of it and continue to meet as part of the Repeat Offender Commission. But the individuals that have the true key to this success aren't here right now, and we need them to be part of that conversation.
Last question is Grace.
We saw a lot of different techniques to try to stop this moving bus yesterday. Looking back or looking ahead, if this were to happen again, what could have been differently, or is there a way to stop something of that size?
So we will debrief on this. The officers involved, the commanders involved, the investigators will have a debrief. We'll look at what went very well yesterday. We'll look at what didn't that we want to try differently next time. That's just part of our DNA as a profession. And so as we craft strategies around a hijacked bus with multiple hostages, we will come up with new and unique ways. But tell you what, here's the thing about American law enforcement and firefighting. There's not always a game plan for what life gives us and what the complexities of humanity gives a first responder. And that is why we should value first responders. Sometimes these men and women have to make it up right then, on the fly, to save lives. And if we don't have men and women of courage that are empowered to do that, and they're ethical people given the tools to do that, the outcome may be different. So I applaud people that are in law enforcement and in the firefighter services, because sometimes there's not a game plan, and you have to craft a way right then to save a life, and we saw that yesterday.
I'll chime in on that too. You know, as I was in the room listening to them, there's a conversation in the critical decision-making process. You have an individual saying, if you stop this bus, I'm going to kill the driver, which then means that the whole bus could overturn, could run in over a ditch or run over a bridge, and everyone could die. But you also have a man that we know was shot. So he has a limited amount of time to have a wound that's open without getting medical emergency. So you can't just let the bus keep, and this is a bus. Buses are designed to go far. This bus could end up in another state. So these conversations were being had between Georgia State Patrol, between DeKalb, between Gwinnett, of course, Atlanta Police Department, and they're trying to figure out what's the best approach. And then this is happening at 5 o'clock, 4:45, and we know what 4:45, 5 o'clock is in Metro Atlanta. Traffic and people. It was something to see. You saw it aerially. We were seeing it live and hearing it through 911 operators. So it's something to continue to strategize and plan over. I dare to say that to see those individuals get off that bus and everyone get, to safety, and that individual that was shot, we're trying to resuscitate and get them back to life. But to not have it be 17 individuals or 16 individuals, thank God for that, and thank proper training and coordination of all the, the law enforcement agents across the region. Also, going back to the first incident, the one that occurred inside of the food court, I thank that officer for his quick action to address this individual that had already shot 3 people. That officer had to make a critical decision in a split second. He knew that he had an individual that had a gun in his hand. He had shot 3 people and was yelling and, acting as though he could have shot someone else. Training came into being. At the same time, police are coming in, fire rescue is coming in, trying to serve the victims, help the people that may, need medical emergencies from a shot or from shock or for anything else. So we are seeing the coordinated efforts of law enforcement, fire rescue, and emergency preparedness all together being able to come to bear, and then of course ATL DOT blocking off roads. So we saw a coordinated effort that mass shootings occur, and that police are going in trying to find the bad guys, and fire rescue is right behind them trying to help victims. Coordination, training, well on display yesterday. Unfortunately, we had incidents that occurred that needed that training, but I'm glad that they were trained to bring it to an end. Thank you all.
Thank you, media. We'll allow you to
Thank you, Mayor.
allow us to have your exit.
See you on the next one.
All right, so you've just been watching live that press conference with Mayor Andre Dickens, along with Atlanta Police Chief Darren Shearbaum and the fire chief as well. And, this was a pre-scheduled press conference to address summer safety. And this was already, planned a while in advance. But then we had the events of yesterday. And, of course, our safety leaders, our city leaders addressed what happened and really commended the work of Atlanta Police, Georgia State Patrol, and other law enforcement agencies in really apprehending the hijacking suspect in the bus incident, as well as their handling of the shooting at Peachtree Center Mall as well. I do want to let you know that we have a brand new mugshot in just a short time ago. This is the suspect in the deadly Gwinnett County bus hijacking. Really terrified people in several communities as it was ongoing. And, we brought you live breaking coverage here on Atlanta News First. And, it was really a terrifying time and unfortunately resulted in one person dying. But this suspect, 39-year-old Joseph Greer, is of Stone Mountain, was taken into custody. And he's actually a convicted felon with 19 prior arrests. And that's something that we heard Mayor Dickens talk about. Something that we're going to be talking about as well is how a person with, that sort of background gets a hold on of a gun and gets actually to the access to be able to pull off a crime like that, which resulted sadly in a death. 17 people were on the bus, including the driver, whom Chief Shearbaum called a hero. We're going to take a deeper dive into that story as well. And let me just show you a little bit of the footage of what happened yesterday as we prepare to kind of dig a little bit deeper into the events that took place. And a terrifying situation. As we heard Mayor Dickens say, it could have ended so much worse. One loss of life is what happened, and obviously that is too much. But Mayor Dickens said, it could have been even worse. There were 17 people on board that bus. And then there were the events that happened just shortly before that at Peachtree. Sorry, I'm changing graphics here. At Peachtree Center Mall. And this is the suspect in that shooting. And again, this is a convicted felon who had been arrested nearly a dozen times before. So a lot of questions about that, about how individuals with this sort of history get their hands on guns. And that's something that Mayor Dickens did address, his efforts to basically keep guns out of the hands of unlicensed individuals, and also reassess kind of the criminal justice system to ensure that people with violent criminal histories, are apprehended and kept out of the public to keep everyone safe. But we're going to take a deeper dive into that I want to let you know that later on today at 1 p.m. I have an attorney joining me here for our Beyond the Headline segment, where we're going to look closely at all of those issues. And then coming up in just a few minutes at 11 o'clock, Chief Investigator Brendan Keefe is going to join me, and we're going to take a closer look at all of these issues as well. Thanks so much for joining us. If you haven't done so yet, please download our free mobile news app to get updates sent right to your phone.